Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Once Upon a Time, a casual conversation with senior eminent gurus from the Bay Area. We would also like to invite some gurus from outside as well. But we have been having our own senior gurus here who have been teaching in the Bay Area for over 4 decades now. And we would love to hear from them. We don't get to talk to them or meet them often. So we thought that during this pandemic time, we would love to have our senior gurus talking to the youth who are so busy in their own activities. And this is probably given a little bit of a pause to a lot of those things, and everybody has some time to hear about their journeys and their stories and their lives in this field of dance, art, music. So I am Naina Shastri. I am the director of Namaha Foundation for the Arts. And we thought we should have this little video podcast with our gurus from the area. And today we have with us one of the most eminent gurus here, Srimati Vishal Ramani. Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Welcome.
It's a privilege.
Thank you so much, Srimati Vishal Ramani. She is the artistic director of Sri Kripa Dance Company. And I am sure there aren't many people in the Bay Area who don't know about her. But we will jump right in and still ask her to tell us about her start in this art form. How did she begin her dance? Where did she begin her dance? And what inspired her?
That's a wonderful question, because I don't think I could have answered that question without remembering how I used to stay in my mother's womb. Because my beginnings were from the womb, where my mother is a classical music artist. Mm-hmm. She was not a performer. She was just a housewife, but she was a great violinist. She was seeped into the musical tradition. Right. And my older sister was already dancing when I was in my mother's womb. Oh. So I would kick my mother exactly with rhythm. So I don't think I should say what my beginnings were, but dance is what I breathe. Dance is what I think. Dance, the creative arts, I shouldn't say just dance. For me, creativity of any form, whether it is a simple knitting needle creativity, or whether it is painting something, or indulging in music, anything that is artistic, I just love it.
That's amazing. And we will definitely come to that, because I have heard that you are multifaceted. So we will definitely get there. But Vishal ma'am, how was it when you, where did you start learning, and how was it at that time? Just general, the art forms. I know you grew up in a family that was obviously already artistically inclined. But was it difficult finding teachers, the gurus, practicing, rehearsing, learning even? How was it at the time when you started?
I think I came after the generation, one generation after Srimati Rukmini Devi or Bala Saraswati ji, or even Kumari Kamala. Srimati Rukmini Devi was, of course, the iconic figure of Kalakshetra. Right. She is from the same home state as my father, and not only home state, but also the same place, Pudukkottai district. And she went to the same school as my father.
So you had...
Of course, senior to my father. Yeah. My dad was not that, he was more into the engineering profession. My mother was very, very much for it. But my grandmother, my father's mother, was very much involved in the aesthetics, enjoying music, enjoying the arts. And she wanted her grandchildren to learn this dance form. I come from a very traditional Orthodox family. And one would say in those days that, that was the time when the Devadasi system had just gone out. 1948s and all that, and then 49, 50, 51. People never thought of really putting their children from very orthodox homes into schools.
Correct.
If you ask me, was it easy for me? Actually, as I remember, it was very easy to slip into this tradition because we had a wonderful dance school called Sri Rajarajeshwari Bharatanaट्य Kala Mandir.
Correct.
We had started right around the corner from my home.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't even imagine that I just had to hop, skip, jump and go there.
Correct.
And the gurus were Sri Mahalingam Pillai, Govindraj Pillai, and
Right.
Karnataka teacher. And the senior teacher was Guru Kuppaya Pillai. So as I remember, I'm sure my sister can also endorse this. I went as a 3.5, 4-year-old into the class with my sister who was joining the school. My mother never thought that I was going to be the one, so she had me on her lap. And when he asked her to do the namaskaram, Bhumi namaskaram, tattu kumbidrathu, she was a little bit, hesitant. But before she did it, my mother said I jumped out of her lap and I started doing it. So I remember one thing very vividly, even though I was that young. One thing that I remember vividly was this old man, and that is Guru Kuppaya Pillai, holding and saying, "This girl will become a dancer." And so it's like, I don't know if he said this girl will become a dancer, but he said some words of Ashirvadam to me.
Right.
And I always believe that in some form or the other, I'm deeply rooted in bhakti, in devotion, and I always feel that spirituality, the feeling of devotion is synthesized with the arts. And when that is synthesized with the arts, then art takes on a different flavor altogether. And one can never, ever, in this lifetime or in several lifetimes, reach that epitome of success. Right. We can only try, we can do our little bit.
Right.
They're all like very small bits that we are doing as creative artists, as dance artists, as teachers, as performers. There is always bound to be flaws.
Correct.
No one is flawless. And if flawlessness is the way it is, then I should be an apsaras from heavens.
Right.
There's no way I can be without a flaw. And I enjoy that in my children. When they make a mistake, I smile because I love children. And I love to see them make mistakes, because what else can teach them?
Correct.
When they make a mistake and they look at me like this sheepishly, I know that they've realized it.
Right.
Realizing one's mistake in classroom, from Adavu stage to growing up into learning small korves and tirmanams, and then getting into all your alari pujatiswaram, all these numbers.
Right.
The child has to really come to fruition and realization by herself, by repetitive action, like mantra.
Correct.
That was my belief, stern belief that that's what really makes it. And my parents were very strict about practice. At least I remember my sister used to practice, but I didn't have to really be told to practice because I was always walking, dancing. If my family always remembers me hopping to get the sugar, or jumping around to get the water, and there's always a leap, and there's always a pirouette, and there's always a sit stand, a movement, a tiditai or tiditai.
That must have been a beautiful time to watch.
I wish I could go back to those times.
Yes, I wish we could capture those moments.
It was a lovely life. My parents gave me a wonderful life. I thank them deeply.
That is definitely true, ma'am, because I think it as you said, it was a time when I think even more for a lot of people from the Orthodox families definitely did encourage music more, and dance was always a little bit, they were hesitant. Music is okay, you can learn, but dance, maybe not, I think it stayed that feeling for quite some decades too. I felt like even when I was getting married, also in our community, a lot of people were like, "Oh, dance, after marriage, we wouldn't like to see," So there was always that little taboo on dance.
Yeah. And yet, this dance culture is something that is not apart from India. It's a part, it is our deepest rooted heritage, like a banyan tree.
Correct.
It's not like a little sapling that you can just weed out and throw.
Correct.
Dance and music culture, the Indian Carnatic music or the classical musical system, our dance, formats, our panchanades, our beautiful navarasas, all the things that we talk about, the nayaka bhedas, all these things are so beautiful that there is no question in my mind. There is no such thing as a vulgarity or something that is base that should not be practiced.
Correct.
Unfortunately, this taboo was placed because they thought that the dance itself is being practiced by devadasis, and there was a big huge argument about it, that these devadasis are the ones who are practicing the art, so the good family people should not practice, and this art form should be completely removed.
Correct.
And it's really unfortunate, because how can one remove that which is so deep rooted into the Indian soil?
Correct.
And that too, why is it that only the Devadasis are privileged to do it?
Right.
Devadasi system itself was abolished in 1948 or so.
Correct.
But the dancers that came up, thank God that Bharatanatyam was accepted as a great art form.
Right.
Synthesizing poetry, music, literature, sculpture, any kind of art form, creativity at its best, with the Nritya Natya combination. Correct. It just brought the artist alive.
Correct.
And one such example I like to say is Srimati Balasaraswati, one of the great doyens of dance. She would take an erotic poetry, a small poetic piece, but even in that, she was able to bring the beauty of bhakti oriented, because our entire music, dance, everything is seeped in bhakti. It's bhakti marga. So if we are not able to seek Paramatma through that, if we are not able to feel that in our souls, then our art form is dull. Right. It is absolutely nothing. It's a stagnating form.
Correct. And I think that's why I guess that this dance they were not able to completely kill it, because it is so ingrained in divinity. There is so much divinity in it that there was no way they could have completely erased it.
Correct.
Right. So I think that is the beauty of the whole the dance and the history of it. That's wonderful. So when you told about Balasaraswati ji, so how any memories of the old dancers at that time when you watched, you wanted to be like, oh, I would love to be like dances like that?
Yeah, of course. There's always a yearning in me to just burst out of the scenes and go to heights.
Right.
Again, coming from an Orthodox family, that was not something that they looked forward to. They allowed me to have the Arangetram. Okay. And after the Arangetram, oh, it's done, kind of. It's done. So that is when my interest was sustained, and I really wanted that quest began, that I don't know. I need to know more. I need to have more knowledge. And at times I would just reflect, and I became my own teacher. I would look at books and open up, pages, whatever in the library, wherever, Deepavali Malar, anything that had pictures of dancers. Like, Padmini, Ragini, just look at them and the way Ragini did it. just look at those poses and try to stand in front of the mirror and do it.
Do that, yes.
My tears will just flow.
Ah,
For dance, I have cried nights like anything, because all I wanted was to be Charanagati with my teachers. I wanted to be there. I wanted to learn.
ah,
My father was shifted to Jamshedpur.
okay.
He was now working for Telco as a very high official.
Uh-huh.
So there was no way I could just travel from Jamshedpur in Bihar to Bombay.
Correct.
My father made a commitment to me that because I asked him, every holiday he would send me.
Wow.
And my aunt lived just on the corner from, literally, like, you can see Rajarajeshwari right from there.
Huh.
The Bagaji crossroad she lived. And the class was on Shradanand Road.
Okay.
From our home, they could hear the tattakadi.
Wow.
It's amazing. And my aunt, my Perima, I still recall, I learned Sarasijachulu.
Uh-huh.
As I did that, she said, Kanna, come and show me how you do it. And I was like an 8-year or 9-year-old girl. And I did that and I showed her the Gopika Vasta Bharnamana. And she was just watch me like this, amazed by it. So these are my Rasikas that I would just like yearn to go and perform in front of. And I watched Kumari Kamala doing her Pambu dance, very famous. And in Bombay, Appa and Amma would take me to all the sabas, not all the sabas. Those days, there were not that many sabas.
Many sabas, yeah.
Big association, just like Shanmugananda came afterwards.
Correct.
Before that, there was this Tamilians Fine Arts Associations. I don't remember the exact name. But my father was one of the patrons of the arts, and so we would sit in the front end sofa.
Okay.
Watch Vaijayanti Mala, watch Padmini Ragini. And Ragini and Padmini learned from Mahalingam Pillai sir.
Oh, so
I meet them quite often in those days, but I was just a kid at the time.
Right.
But those are memories that I really cherish. I have seen some of the Bollywood actresses of those days come to Sir and learn some movements and go. I would just sit and watch them. These are acting field people.
Right. How were the teachers? How were the gurus? How did they? They must have been very strict or very disciplinarian gurus at the time, right?
Actually, I was just talking about it to one of the mothers yesterday. She must be a very young lady. And she said, oh, in India, in those days, my guru used to be very strict with me. And I said, you're talking about your days. My days are even more ancient. In my days, my teachers didn't spare the rod. They would take that tattikadi, where are you? That was the way they would hit us here for not keeping our arms straight. They would hit us on the leg for not doing the aramandi. And it could be a just tap, but the feeling of, feeling sad that I'm being insulted, in front of people, that was hard. When I went from Jamshedpur for these short trips to India, to Bombay, I keep saying India because India is Jamshedpur.
I know.
To Bombay, and the teacher would, as a 12-year-old, when they hit you like that, you feel, oh my God.
Yeah, but how? I mean, it is. But the thought never came to you, right? Oh, I'm going to. That teacher is very strict. I'm not going to.
Never.
Because that I do. Do you see that in today's kids?
Oh, today's kids can't take anything. Today's kids are like, all these touch me not flowers. You cannot say, why today's kids, even the parents, you are strict with them. You say something, you shouted at my daughter, you said something to my daughter, you put my daughter at the back, all the other kids are in front, I'm watching you put my daughter at the back. And sometimes I just feel sorry for them because I can't feel any empathy towards this, because this art form requires structure. This art form requires discipline. This art form requires strictness. And, the stricter the teacher, the better. But the teachers can't be abusive. I agree with that. But that knack of talking to the children, the knack of teaching even a single adavu, how beautifully you can explain to the child with its own, some examples, keeping the body line, keep your body line well, hit your rhythm, your footwork exactly in time with the tattakari. Listen to it. Listening is a very important thing. Right? God has given us these 2 years, karanas. That's the most important thing. We learn by listening. We learn by observing. So I always tell them, in the classroom, there is a decorum. You cannot talk. You cannot jump around. You cannot walk. You cannot look at each other. You cannot keep staring at me. You cannot look at the mirror and keep staring at yourself either. You need to be understanding that there is an audience there.
Correct.
And audience, even with make-believe audience, your teddy bears, whatever it is, talking to that. You need to be very sure of yourself when you're doing it. If you're not sure, then repeat it. Repeat it many times till it gets committed to memory.
Right. So and how was the class structure? Like, did you have to go into for class and then you would stay as long as the teacher, your guru, wanted you to? You start with the basics every time you go to class and then move on to your new piece. How was that? How did that work?
My classrooms were very small. In Shadanand Road, if you enter Rajarajeshwari, even today they maintain that. Very, very small rooms. On the windowsill, there would be tattakaris, several tattakaris. Before the teacher came, the teacher would take his lunch or whatever, breakfast or whatever, and whenever we went home, he's gone there, he's going to enter maybe 3 or 4 students or maybe 7 or 8 students, and we go and, pick up the tattakari. This is all like, chupke, slowly go into the tattakari and try to hit the diditai. To roll in your hand, right? So, we used to do that, and then, before he came, we could hear his footwork. Immediately we will go and put it and very quietly, very nicely, very disciplined way, we would say. And we're scared to ask a question. That is something that I don't, I don't encourage that. I want children to raise their hands and ask a question, because communication between teacher and taught is very important to me.
Right.
But they would, sometimes, and the way they say it, we're very scared of that tone of voice.
Correct.
One, just the eye movement, the eyes looking at you, we're scared.
Yeah.
Do it. Afterwards, when the teacher goes away, we will all laugh. So now I don't allow that with my students, because they stand in class and they go
in class, yeah.
And they do that, I say, stop that.
So how has it been now versus now you are teaching, you perform. So what is the biggest difference or the biggest challenge you have faced in modern day teaching and performing?
Modern days, in the olden times, we remembered. Whether we wrote down or whatever we did, it was imperative that we remember.
Correct.
Even if we didn't remember, most of our classes will be very repetitive.
Correct.
If we are learning a shabdam and we are learning kandane, unne, endane, ramum, whatever we are learning, that one line, then the next class, we are doing the same line. We are not going into we are not going to the next verse at all.
Right.
So we are repetitively doing that, so we learn.
Right.
In modern times, people come from far, people drive, people are hustled, they have very little time, and the one thing they ask is, can you give me a video?
Yes.
So you know that, right? Being a teacher yourself, you know that. And that is something I abhor that. I don't like it because they're encouraging their kids to really put it off, postpone learning.
Correct.
No need to remember. Everything is documented anyway.
Yes.
Your teacher has done it. You got it. Let's put it in the shelf. Whenever you want, you pick it up and do it. And I discourage that. And of course, the pandemic has put a different perspective into it.
I know.
But definitely, there is a disadvantage. Technology has helped in some ways. Technology has also unhelped in some ways. It has really destroyed certain things.
Yes.
So the children are not remembering.
Correct.
Are, asking us to always give them,
video aids.
In fact, the first thing that they do is they come with their cameras, and I tell the parents to get out of it. I really get upset about it because I may not be in the mood to, perform and, show.
Sure.
I may not be in that. I'm in a teaching mood, but I may not be like, well dressed with my lipstick and all that. I'm not wearing lipstick, but I'm just saying.
No, I know. I get.
Ready to give a video copy of myself. Believe it or not, in the Bay Area, up to date, videos of me are floating around everywhere. Everywhere. From students who have come to my school and gone away, they're also cherishing those videos.
Yes.
And I will not, have a doubt that they once in a while sneakily watch me.
Definitely.
Where does that guru go?
Yes, that's true. That's true. That I find that that is, as far as I feel too, is one of the biggest things that I've noticed. That, and as you say, ma'am, we also when we were learning, we would go. Of course, we went 3 times a week. We didn't have as many activities as the children have today. And I always tell my students, I said, our teacher would say the start time of the class. End time was his decision. Whenever he decided is when class ended. So we had to stay and watch. And as you said, repeat. Every week we would go and repeat the same thing. For the longest time, we hadn't moved on an item. He would say, no, do it. Say, do the same thing. Do it again. And then that, I think, also helps in our own mental, mental health, right? Because, if you're looking at all the issues that people are having now with Alzheimer's and things like that, I think this memory and body memory that you get by repeating actions, you don't get by, as you said, you take a video and then you put it away and you say, oh, I have the video with me, now I will take a break and come back to it when I have time.
There are some people that I totally admire so much in my life. People like my own sister, my own older sister, my brother-in-law. He's like God to me. He has literally, taught me that the more you read, the more you want to read. The more you want to read, the more yearning you have to pick up books and read. And he's into Carnatic music. He's a great critic. He's a wonderful, he's written a book recently about, there's a book that has come out on the Upanishads and, whatever. So he is absolutely Bhagavatam, reading almost all of the time. He's in his 90s.
Oh.
I think having people like that as mentors in your own life, in your own surrounding, it really makes you feel that, there is so much in life, so many things for us to read and understand and learn.
Yes.
And I consider one of the most important things for an artist to consider is all those people who are around me and are teaching classes, all those people who are away from me, far away from me and teaching classes, they should be allies, because what you are pursuing is what they are pursuing.
Correct.
You try to be extraordinary in your life. You try to achieve the perfection in your life. And they are also side by side learning to perfect themselves. Correct. God bless them. One of the artists that impressed me so much was Sri Adya Lakshmanan. Adya Lakshmanan sir was seated next to me in one of the programs in India. and we were watching, not just my student, this was someone else dancing, and she was doing Tishra Matyatala. Okay. So he immediately looked at me and he said, "Idu enna thalam?" You know, and see, the thing is, for people like that to ask you a question like that,
Yes.
He's a great artist.
Correct.
He asked me that. Okay. And then he said, "Dhruvam madri irukilla, dhruvatharamilla, so it's like, we are discussing and I'm thinking, I'm feeling so little there, like a child sitting in front of a great artist.
Right.
I'm talking to him like that, and I was smiling to myself. When did I grow?
Right.
When did I grow to be seated next to this great man? Similarly, there was yet another time when he stood up on the stage when one of my students, Meghna Chakravarti, danced there. And then he started praising my choreography. And I started crying on stage, because that is the greatest fulfillment that I've had. Yes. It's just to hear such a great man speak.
Correct. And that humility, that humility to even ask the question, right? I mean, you sometimes think, oh, I know everything, I don't need to ask anybody. But to, have that there might be something that even I don't know, and what it could be, that is something I think that we as youngsters and youth should learn, that learning never stops.
Learning never stops. And in fact, learning, I know one should not cross boundaries. And I have not crossed boundaries. I've kept my, my teaching of my teachers quite, well alive in me. And I always work out to make sure that I'm doing my choreography within those confines. But I do have a great zeal, interest in watching, great performers. So I've had the greatest fortune of sponsoring Srimati, the great late Sanjukta Panigrahi ji.
Oh.
She stayed with me and she said, Vishal, let us dance together.
Wow.
And she said, you are my Vishal. I used to feel like, what is it that I have done? My blessings that I know. And then came Shri Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra into my
Oh my God.
And then he came, he said, Abhi to Guru hai, he said to me, and I said, I am a Guru. He's calling me a Guru, and to me, that word is just too much. It's a very senior person that I look up as a Guru. I'm just an Acharya. Really, people do call me that, but I have not achieved that kind of perfection.
I beg to differ on that one. So you talked about your choreographies, ma'am. So I'm sure, and you have plenty of productions and choreographies. Is there anything that you really is very close to you, to your heart? Something that sort of stands out for you?
Well, greatest, people who impressed me in the Bay Area were Srimati Madhuri Tatachari and Sri Whitey Tatachari. And now Whitey Tatachari we used to call him Whitey. He was a scientist. He was a great Sanskrit scholar. And, he was a great influence on me. And Srimati Madhuri Tatachari, she was a Vainika. She used to play the veena. And they have accompanied, they have taught me. And so my very first production here was Shubhagaman. Shubhagaman is about, the story of Kuchela Upakya, Sudama. So when we did that one, and he picked stories, little episodes from the Bhagavatam and taught me that, I would just sit like that and listen. Because for me, listening is one thing that I love to do.
Right.
Silent and to listen to someone and to understand what they are trying to say. And he found a great student in me, so he taught me that. And so I reminisce that, and that's a very, something that I'm very fond of. The second production was Navadhyuti,
Huh.
for which Srimati Jayashree Vadrajan sang for
Huh.
me. And that also was another where the rebuilding of Ayodhya, that is another, that Vaiti Tatachari and Madhuri were. These are my old days, and afterwards I went into many productions myself and worked. Another great influence in my life is Sri Ashok Subramaniam. Ashok Subramaniam is teaching music in my school. Actually, the name is Gandharva Vidya Center. He teaches wonderful Carnatic music, and that's always ringing in my ears because in the studio, which I miss now. But he too, has written Varnams for me, Jatiswarams for me. His, any production that I want, and I've approached him, and he has tuned the verses. He has done a lot of compositions, written them. He's a great poet. So I'm very blessed. There is nothing that I want from life that I'm, longing for anymore. I just want that the students become, enlightened from within. The students learn that there is no teacher other than the teacher within them. If they can make that teacher guru within them glow, who accompanies them everywhere, wherever they go. Right. And that teacher is embedded in the teacher who is in the external world.
Right.
It doesn't matter who it is, but it is inside you. That is where you become a sincere artist. That sincerity has to come from within you, not through competitions. These are false competitions, and there is no need for jealousy in this field. There is no way one can be jealous of another, because there is no way anyone can achieve perfection in this field.
Correct.
Definitely not me. Maybe others, I just beg to differ. The others have done it.
Right.
Definitely not me. But I am a learner, lifelong learner. I yearn to learn. I'm like a child when it comes to learning. If there is anything you can teach me, please tell me.
I'm not there yet. As you say, Vishal ma'am, I love to listen too. I mean, I do like to talk as well, but I love to listen. And I love to hear these stories and these experiences, because I think that is a wealth that we don't otherwise get to hear or be part of. We are so stuck and so busy in our own bubbles and our lives that unless we make an effort to hear from people who have experienced so much, it never happens. And it has to be a concerted effort to do it. And more now, I think, during these times, so I've been enjoying listening to all your experiences and stories. But I want to go back again and, kind of ask you again, when you got married, how was that? Like, because learning when you are at home with your parents, that is one thing. But when a marriage happens, then again, life changes. So obviously you have been encouraged there as well. So, but do tell.
Question. I can tell you very simply that my father-in-law was a very big official in heavy electricals. He was the chairman, managing director, and in Bhopal, he hugged me and said, "Go to England, go to London, wherever you're going, and light up with your dance." And that's the blessing he gave me. My mother-in-law, there is no precious human being other than her for me. She was more than a mother to me. She considered me a little child. She has done so much for me. I totally adore her, and her thought really makes me choke.
I can feel that.
She
Yes.
has been the most wonderful person to journey with. That's kind of a mother-in-law
Yeah.
who in 1982, uh, when Amitabh Bachchan was hurt and in the Puri movie, and he was in the hospital right around the corner in
Right.
Hyderabad from our home, my
Uh-huh.
in-laws' home, and I had visited India.
Huh.
I was going for classes to Rajarajeshwari,
Huh.
and that day I had to go to Govindraj Pillai sir, because Govindraj Pillai sir was, working on some of the items with me.
Okay.
So I told my mother-in-law, "Ma, I can't go with all the strike and everything. How can we go?" And she said, "You don't worry. I will arrange the car. The car driver will come. You, I will come with you." I said, "Mama, I'm Vada because there are a lot of stone throwing." And
Right.
you don't worry. Driver knows how to take us. Not only that, she went to the silver shop. She bought a big silver plate for him and with fruits. And she said, "Oh, Guru Dachina Kurtutu," then you start, So that memory just, rakes my heart. That's my mother-in-law. A wonderful lady that I adore. And even today, I hold my hands together.
Nice.
And that was the way it was. But my own life, with I'm married to a scientist here, who is a PhD in science. For him, arts didn't mean anything. So for the two of us were working on parallel lines, because for us the meeting ground was not there, because he was not into creative arts, he was not into my beliefs and spirituality. I'm not ritualistic or anything.
Right.
I want spirituality and structure in the home. And that was missing for me. So there was a big void in my life. So most of my journey I have done by swimming against the tides by myself. My school, my entire organization, everything. Outsiders have helped me, yes, and I have relied on them. But I have done most of the work myself. Many times I would sit there and I'll be determined, because for me, if I take up something, I have to be extraordinary. I never believed I was extraordinary when I started the school. But that's why I kept going to my teachers to get endorsements, and they loved both Karnammal teacher, even to this day, to the last trip I went with one of my friends there. And in front of her, she was saying, "Gone are those days when you girls were so close to me. Why don't you do some kind of a fundraiser so that you can make Rajarajeshwari into a big, huge room? We're still stuck in this small place." And Kalyan Sundaram Pillai sir and all these people came later. He was more, my age group. But this Sir Govindraj Pillai and Malingam Pillai sirs were the best. My older daughter went there and she saw Mahalingam Pillai and she sat down on the floor and she said, "Mom, can I just stay here in the school and dance?" So that was the impression he created. He was great. Govindraj Pillai sir was my favorite. And then, of course, Karnambal teacher. I still remember them giving me parpichadam, that I've eaten in sitting on their laps.
Oh, wow.
I was a little kid. And so it's sad that, we do come and, stay in this country, and it wasn't very, it was a great, a conviction from within me, a confidence, super confidence and courage within me that brought the school to fruition. Because the courage had to be there, because this place was barren. There was jobs. Today, it is different. Yes. You girls have it made. You've got a spread of.
That's true.
It has its good and bad. Correct. But the day I came here, if I put a potte and walked outside, I'd be stared at. It is like a big dot on my forehead. What am I doing? Is it a boo-boo? Most of the kids in the supermarkets will say, "Mama, she has a boo-boo, so I have a boo-boo right here." Yes, I have a boo-boo, I would say. And, there are very few people who knew what
Correct.
wearing a bindi was, or wearing one of our costumes was. Today, you people walk to the supermarket in salwar kurta. In those days, when we had to go to the supermarket, we had to blend by wearing jeans. And I
Correct.
would go just in my sari or my salwar kurta. I go because I'm always like that, out of
Yeah.
the frying pan and into the fire. So
Correct.
I would go, and for that I was not liked by many.
Uh,
That's okay. They don't like me. They don't accept me. I accept myself. That's fine. I keep my identity, is what I thought. But
right.
today's world in the Bay Area, all over the world, has changed.
Correct. Definitely. Yes.
They recognize the fabric of India here. There
Correct.
are certain cities, even in the West Coast, there are certain cities where it's not that
Right.
recognized.
Correct.
If you go to other states, you go to the Midwest or
Western. Yeah.
Midwest, some of the states or southern states, they may not really know you. I went to Utah, and they all looked at me like this with a eyebrow raised, but I just didn't care.
Yes, that's true. We do live in a very special place here that we can, still maintain our identity. Everybody knows where we are from, and as you said, like, in fact, they will ask us, "Oh, is it a festival? Is it Deepavali or Ganesh Chaturthi?" So it's come to that. So they know so much about our life here. Ma'am, we spoke about this. You are not, I mean, dancer, yes, but you also have so many other talents, and you are so involved in all of them as well. Can you share with us what else makes you tick?
Well, like I said, whatever I do, I want to be extraordinary. So that's it can be a little bit of a fault too, that I am like that. So I have to do my best. I have to absolutely do my best.
Right.
I entered. Someone challenged me about. Someone said something very derogatory about India. A white man who spoke he was standing there in a real estate office, and he said, "Who would ever go to that black hole?"
Oh. Mm.
So the moment he said that, it just made me, enraged. And basically I took it in good humor, because I didn't want to shout or scream or what does he know. So
Right.
I said to him, I beg to differ from you. I come from India, and you're saying it right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you about India. India is not a city of joy that you see, all these lepers and creepers and beggars.
Uh-huh.
India is a great country. It has a great culture and great tradition. I mean, you need to know that. And he said, "Tell me about it." So he challenged me, and I said, "I will tell you, not in one line or one sentence, but I'll tell you in a TV series." And that's how I started.
Wow.
Series. And I went into the local, channel, and I asked them to give me a half an hour slot. And they gave me that, and I did Echoes of India.
Wow.
Echoes of India, people who I really want to thank are Amrit Singhalji and Bharti Singhal and Ashok Subramaniam. All these people were with me in that journey. And we started doing this production, Echoes of India, and it went on for about almost 15 years or so.
Wow.
Kept on going week after week after week. Amritji would actually carry the tapes from city to city, to Fremont, to Saratoga, Cupertino. It was Milpitas. It was telecast everywhere.
Wow.
And a lot of people knew me through Echoes of India, because I would talk in English, and there will be no ad.
Correct.
And there will be talk about India, India's ways, India's culture, India's different states, everything to do with the clothing, to do with the foods, to do everything about India. I brought eminent artists. I brought a lot of entrepreneurs there. I was the first one to do the little public broadcast thing for Thai Indus Valley entrepreneurs. brought Shri Suhas Patil and many other people. Suhas Patil, by the way, is from Jamshedpur, the same city as me.
Correct.
He went to the boys' Hindi school, and I went to the convent school there. That's it. He's a great guy, who has made been a CEO of Cirrus Logic and so many other companies. But we interviewed not just them, but Dr. Kiran Bedi. Kiran Bedi came here, and she was so beautiful. She visited us. She gave me a book saying, "You yourself are a beacon." I just love those moments when I met such great people. Not the few I'm saying, the
Right.
many people we met, many of the artists, great artists we met there.
Right.
And then I also got my hands into Vedavani, a publication on the great spiritual leaders of our country, great leaders, not only spiritual, but also other political leaders, like Mahatma Gandhi was one of them. I brought Ramana Maharishi's, and that would be the top cover photo. The publishing, the editing, everything was helped by Sri Ashok Subramaniam. He was also with me.
Okay.
And even to this day, they are asking us, can you send us copies of Vedavani? Because we didn't run it past that 1 year because we were dry with money, because our goals were lofty, more philanthropic, and trying to reach the mass, but not money making. That was
correct
at all.
More about propagation and
when there is no money, then you're dry. Ads were there, a few ads here and there. Even ads, we wouldn't go running door to door saying, "Give me an ad, give me an ad."
Right. Yeah.
Very good at all that. Not
right.
So it was hard.
Right.
But beyond that 1 year, a little over a year, when we were helped by so many people that I can keep listing. But after that, we stopped Vedavani. And I have copies, about 12, 13 copies of whatever we had done before. And we can't share them, unless we put them on the, online or something.
Correct. Yeah.
People are still asking, why aren't you doing it? We
Right.
could do it, and that would involve time.
Yes, that's true. So writing, producing show, TV, television show, what else?
What else? Given a chance, I want to be a grandmother. Grandmother to 4 children. My oldest granddaughter is 12 years of age.
Okay.
I have almost 10, and 3.5, who's walking on 13.
Okay.
So, a cute little one, Priya. Then the youngest one is just a little over a year.
Oh.
I adore them. I they are like reflections of myself. Every action they do.
So they're all also learning dance.
I keep on singing, playing with them.
Right.
We had a dance session here, and they were both dancing.
So they are also then deeply involved in dance and learning and continuing their grandma's.
I don't force it on anyone. I don't have the knack to do that. Maybe dance will be mine and mine alone, and will go with me. I'm not sure. My younger does want Priya and Shani, Avery Shani, the younger one, to learn. But they are too young right now, so they have to come to at least 4 or 5 years of age to learn.
Correct.
My older daughter's children are doing a lot of other things. They are in Palo Alto, and they are learning. They are going to theater arts and piano and guitar. My older granddaughter plays the guitar very well. She also sings very well. So they are into their own selves, and they're doing both.
It will be there somewhere, art in some form.
Yes,
is there, right?
children are very talented.
Right.
These two daughters are very talented.
Talented.
Very talented in handwork, creativity. They are always doing something.
Huh.
Doll making, all kinds of things.
That's really nice. You are enjoying your time with them now. So, Vishal ma'am, what is your if I can say advice or something that you would like to say to gurus who are, or rather not gurus, rather teachers, young teachers, like who are, taking up teaching in today's time? What would you say as a teacher one should have in them, skills or in terms of their aptitude?
First of all, I think this dance art is not something that is, it's not just going to grow in a one day or 1 year or 2 years or 5 years even. It is a lifelong search into ourselves. And first of all, the dance teachers should teach the parents, what this is about, because parents come with the idea of having seen a lofty and beautiful exhibition of an arangetram. They come with the idea that, oh yeah, my daughter too will be that. And this is a very sophisticated art, no doubt. It takes a lot of glamour in it.
Right.
And a lot of tamasha. A lot of tamasha in it. So, a lot of people are, very given to all the show in the business. It's not a showy art form. It's an art form that is imbibed from the teacher to the taught in a very, like a candle, not a candle, an oil wick lamp. So my very favorite quote in Tamil is Anbe Tagaliya Arvame Neyyaga Inburugu Chindai Idutiriyaga Nanburugi Jnana Chudar Vilaketine Naranarke. And the Naranarke, you are putting a Jnana Chudar, a small, a lamp of knowledge. That's all us teachers can do. We can only light that lamp. That lamp has to really seek its oil. It has to keep on glowing. For that, the student has to do that. Bala Saraswati's words ring in my ears, and she said, in her opinion, of course, she didn't like male dancers as much. She said that it's a feminine art.
I see.
And a lot of people differ in that. Why not males also can do it, and their way of doing, with the tandava and the more
correct
movements and all that.
Right.
Feminine art is the more lasya and
yeah.
But in learning this art form, one must seek the sincerity of the artist. And so the teacher must seek sincerity within herself, the student must seek the same. It is not by any means a money-making art. And that should be not the goal. Money is not the goal at all. And money becomes the goal when push comes to shove and we have to pay our mortgage, it becomes the goal.
Right.
And that's a very sad thing. My idea when I came here was very lofty, thinking that I'd give free classes. But it didn't happen because I had to really, charge for my time.
Correct.
And of course, I became a resident artist of California Arts Council, and I served in the San Jose Unified School District and various other places as a resident artist. And I enjoyed that, and I earned some money out of that, and I earned name, fame, and everything. But the fame never really got to me. I think the teachers should really do their service with a smile and teach. The teaching should be the most important thing. It's like education, the art education is like a river. It has to keep on flowing. It has to keep on flowing. There is no way it can stop the flow. That flow has to happen. And if the teacher is able to make them flow in that art form, she has done her work. After that, it is up to the student to do it. And Bala Saraswati said one more thing, that, this crossing boundaries, going from one school to another, hopping, hopping school. This should be discouraged.
Mm.
But to me, Sri Adayar Lakshmanan's words ring in my ears.
Mm.
If they are leaving my school and they are getting better value somewhere else, please go. Because your value is more important.
Right.
You think your value is somewhere else, please leave and go. Okay, I tell my students very frankly, I'm holding you, I cannot hold you.
Right.
Who am I to hold you?
Uh-huh.
Art, Guru Bhakti, all the loyalty of learning, that first step, the teacher who teaches, to this day, it is Guru Kuppaya Pillai or Govind Raj Pillai or Mahalingam Pillai that I give my credit to.
Right.
Many teachers have influenced, many artists have influenced me. Nowhere will I sever that relationship. That relationship is the most precious, it's a divine relationship between a teacher and a
student. Yeah, that is true.
And you know that is something that I teach the children. And the teacher should be one who's also practicing. It's like, can you stop a child from eating sugar? When Mahatma Gandhi was asked that, he said, bring the child back after 1 week. Don't bring now. So the mother said, why not now? He said, because you bring him back 1 week later. After 1 week, he said, no, don't eat sugar. So he said he had to first practice that himself.
Correct.
Before he told the child. So similarly, I have to practice myself. If I say practice, teachers should never use that word, misuse that word. Because practicing means that you are doing it out of your willingness. If there is no push, the trust from you, then just saying to the child, go practice, is going to deter the child from learning that. So let her come. And for me in my school, and I think all the teachers should know this, that there is no classroom that is locked for the child. Once she enters Shri Kripa, she is in Shri Kripa for her learning, and I am in Shri Kripa for teaching. And I want this to happen over a period of time, slowly. In a week, she can take 15 classes if she wants to, or stay in the class for 15 hours, not learning, observing. There is no need for you to say, you shut the class. 1 hour, you pay $25 and go. This is ridiculous. This kind of thing, I think, is ridiculous, but it may work for other people. I don't know.
Right.
And I think, so within a 5-year span, a student of Shri Kripa learns at least some 8 years worth
of pieces. Amazing. Ma'am, you talked about students, and we have here with us a student of yours. She started with you, and I I must say I was fortunate now. I've been having Sinduri study under me, and she would like to ask you a question. And she was very excited. She said, Auntie, I have both my teachers here today with me, my guru and my teacher. So I said, yes, then you should ask a question to your guru. And so she said, I'm very nervous. I said, why?
I think I taught her when she was 4, before she, and so 4 and 5 and whatever. And then she used to be the same Sinduri with a small face, a cute face, 2 button eyes, and cute. I used to admire her looks, and she was very scared of me even then. She's scared of me now.
Yes. So I will let Sinduri ask you her question.
Tell me, Sinduri.
Yes. So I had a general question on what advice would you give to students who are currently pursuing or want to pursue Bharatanatyam?
I would say just don't satisfy yourself with the classroom experience. Go after it. If you don't go after the arts, if you don't seek Nataraja will not seek you. So I will say that perpetually they have to be opening up themselves. It's like exercising your limbs, you know. You don't say, I'll do 1 hour of exercise and then I'll do 1 hour of eating. You have to be constantly thinking about your health and fitness in eating, in restraints, in self-control, in the ability to discipline yourself and practice the art form. Don't engage in unnecessary competitions. Compete with your own self. Make yourself the best. When you say, I want to learn dance, start learning to see if it sustains your interest. If it does, then go deeper. As you go deeper, don't stop until you reach a stage where you feel that, yes, I'm becoming extraordinary. I don't want to be an ordinary. I don't like mediocrity in anything. So if you can become extraordinary in anything and excel, then do it. And do it with a whole heart, zestfully. Do it, you know, with a lot of sacrifices in your life. And without sacrifice, learning is not there. There are a lot of sacrifice. Every artist knows she has a private life. I have my own thinking. I have my own, you know, deep, dark secrets about how I have longed to get into this. So I would say a really true student is not one who takes the temporary phases and then loses interest. Then she never was interested. If you are interested, go step by step by step. Learn music. Music is very important. Rhythm, rhyme. Your Laya Shuddhi comes from that. It's very important. Languages are very important. Don't shun anything. Open your mind. And don't talk about Bani and don't fight in the name of Bani. I don't like that. I detest that because Bharata never said, you know, only Pandanallur Bani, only Vallur Bani, only Tanjavur Bani. Nothing was said like that. Each artist has her ability to give. So see what it is that you can learn from that. And try to keep the purity of that teacher's art form as she has taught you. Revere your teacher. Make sure that you don't have any doubts about that teacher. Every student must, you know, surrender to the teacher. The acharya is definitely someone who lights the lamp first and must surrender, must not question the teacher. And there will be times of trial. The trial comes when you say, oh, you know, I didn't win a competition, or I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And you get angry. Who are we to get angry with our seniors? We cannot. There is no anger there. The true, you know, bhakti to the Guru is to understand and to be humility. The humility is the main goal for the student. Is that answering your question?
Most definitely.
And I hope a lot of other young aspiring performers and students are watching this and listening to this, and hopefully this will help them to understand what it means to be a student of art. And as Vishal ma'am said, we are also students. We also have to still do the same. Just because I've become a teacher doesn't mean I can forget my teachers who helped me come here, get a bit far, right? So we have to.
That's where your true grit, your ethical, you know, strength is.
Right. Yes, we cannot forget our roots. Yes.
But don't succumb to challenges.
Correct. Yes. Every day you have to challenge yourself and
utmost faith in the teacher.
And Vishal ma'am, so now we have Khushi here who has a question too. I know the children have so many activities these days that they're involved in, and yet and also there's this other new thing that we are doing the Arangetram because we want to put it on our resume to go to college. That is something that is now everybody does an Arangetram. What is so special about it? So Khushi has something that she wants to ask about that. If we can have, yes.
Hello, Khushi.
Namaste, ma'am. My question for you is, how do students at Sri Krupa prepare for their Arangetram?
Prepare for their Arangetram. Don't prepare for an Arangetram. Prepare to become a dancer. Prepare to learn the Nityam, Natyam, Shuddham, clean way of performing. Understand the music. Please indulge in, at least put on music at home, Carnatic music. Listen to it so that it kind of seeps into you. And Arangetram itself can be in 4 years, can be in 3 years, can be 2 years, just learn some 7 items and put you on the stage. That is not the way it should be. It should be because the dancer herself feels complete, has felt that, I have learned this particular, if she's learning a Tode Mangalam, for example, which is in, different Ragamalika and Talamalika. She's learning that, and then she should know what she's doing. Taka takita, taka takita, taka takita, taka takita, and takadimi, 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 taka takadimi, taka takadimi. What is taka takadimi? She should know what are the saptatalas. If she doesn't know the saptatalas, if she doesn't have any clue as to how it is, just like that, because the teacher told me to do taka takita, taka takita, taka takita, taka takita, 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 takita. The teacher said that, so I did that. But what is the total of it? To understand that, to understand the nuances of music, of rhythm, of the body structure. It is not about, who can be the greatest gymnast and who can take the greatest leap. No, that is not the way we were taught dance at all. In fact, we were not, put into a classroom and taught Natya Arambe, Varivahe, Vane, Vastu Nishedane, Kuchastale, Nishayant. We were not taught like that at all. In fact, Padmini, the actress, she came with me on stage and then she said, Vishal and I learned Krishnani Begani Baru differently. We are going to do it. So the both of us have done it. And Aragappa University has a copy of that. Both Padmini dancing and myself dancing. And she's a great dancer. So I feel, and she also said the same thing to me. Theory was not, an important aspect of it. Theory is today because Kalakshetra and other institutions are insisting on theory, which is great. So that you do your hand gestures, your hasta abhinaya with deliberation. And your abhinaya is also not like every word has to have a meaning, has to have a gesture, but you take the overall meaning and you bring it out beautifully and you bring the satvika abhinaya on your face. And so these are things that students have to understand everything, watch the teacher. I teach by teaching them the format of a varnam, how a varnam is constructed. What is a padavarnam versus a tanavarnam? What is it? And I also bring a musician there to teach them tala. And I also stand with them and teach tala. And sometimes I bring my percussionist there and he teaches them to say the chorkattu so that they are able to do the chorkattu with their feet. So the students have to learn. And again, Arangetram is not the be all and end all of it. It's not about putting it in your resume. Sorry about that. I don't agree. If that is the goal, then you should not have an Arangetram. Because then at least you'll be learning more and more and more and hoping that one day you'll have an Arangetram. But having an Arangetram and then saying, okay, goodbye to the teacher is not the goal at all. Every student of Arangetram should slowly, steadily march, understand what is being done, what is a padam, what is a javali, what is a kriti. So you should know the differences of these and also understand every tala vagai, the sapta talas. Okay, so I want to do this. How does Matya tala go? How does Dhruva tala go? What is Atta tala? You should be able to say it, should be able to immediately know it. So that is why we have a very long preparation in Sri Krupa. It's a 2-year process to actually get into a preparatory class and then to get to a pre-Arangetram class and then to start working on your Arangetram. So students of Arangetram are also made to enter the classrooms which are lower and teach the same thing that I have taught them. And I will be watching them. So these are things that have to be done in Arangetram. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it most definitely does. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kushi and Sindhuri, for also asking. And I hope this helps, again, other students as well. And yes, and to not take Arangetram as the sort of the end, like how it has become today. It's become a graduation. And most people just do that and say, I'm done, you know. But it's actually the first stepping stone, I would say. The first time that you have done a Margam, and now is when you start understanding, hopefully, the nuances of each piece and each composition and item in the Margam. So I hope
the students should do their Arangetrams, you know, with a lot of preparations, but they should do it at an earlier age, because that's how I did it. Because there was more time, rather than getting involved in academics and just moving away. There was more time for me to go into the classroom, more and more into the classroom, even after the Arangetram. There are post-Arangetram classes, and these classes teach you items, not only items, they also challenge you. So these are important for the student to come to fruition, come to be, you know, before they are released into the world. They should be able to absorb as much as they can in the classroom and be able to mentor others, to be able to be role models for others, to be able to, you know, lead them into through a Jatiswaram, or through a, you know, what is a Jatiswaram, what is a Tilana. They should be able to talk about it.
Right. That's a beautiful thought there. Vishal ma'am, thank you so much. I know it's a Friday night, and I hope I have not taken up too much of your time, but we had such a wonderful discussion, and we would like thank you for joining us tonight and for being here with us. I'm sure everybody enjoyed listening to your experiences and your journey, and we wish to be there with you more and hear more, and we hope to have you again talking about other topics as well. So we would love to have you on our show and listen. We would love to have you talk, and we will listen. It makes our
being in your show, Naina, and thank you for that. Nalini, thank you for being unseen and the back.
We will actually call. I would like to call upon Shrimati Nalini.
Thank you so much, young students. I hope you have a wonderful career in dance and a wonderful life.
Thank you. Girls, can you turn on your videos as well? And we will all thank Vishal auntie, Vishal ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here with us. And I hope, I just wanted to also inform that we will have this interview link in our Facebook page, and people can see it. And we do put it also in our YouTube channel, so people can, you know, you can share it. We will, I think Sindhuri will share the information, and it can be shared with anybody who has missed out on it today and would like to follow and would like to listen. So we would thank you so much, ma'am. This is again Namaha Foundation for the Arts, and yes, we will have a screenshot. So we will all be on screen still. So Sindhuri will. So Sindhuri is our tech person. She's always you know, dealing with all the ins and outs of Zoom and Zoom challenges. And Nalini, you know, I don't need to tell you about Nalini. She's a friend, philosopher, everything rolled into one. So we're fortunate to have you all here with us.
Thank you for doing this great service. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Others as well. I'm looking forward to seeing your show more often.
And yes, and tomorrow, actually, we have also one of the students performing is Vishal Auntie's student, Swati Vemalapalli. She will be performing in the Naipunya Dance Festival tomorrow. And that is at 6:30, again, in our Namaha Facebook. We will stream live from Facebook. So
Thank you so much.
we will, it's nice. It will be, we have heard the teacher, now we will see the student tomorrow.
Okay, I will take that picture right now. Okay. Take one more. Yes.
Done?
Yeah.
Thank you again. Thank you, ma'am. So we will see Swati tomorrow.
Oh.
And please do, if you have the time, do log in. And that will also be available later on as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you, ma'am. Good night. Have a nice weekend.
Good night.
Hope to have you soon with us.